Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all well. I hope everyone's having a good day. We're back today with another live stream. Obviously, we've had some important transfer news to sort of discuss the last couple of days. We've had a few reports come out, so I thought I'd come on today again, and we could obviously discuss the latest news. So we're going to go through sort of various different players. We're going to discuss some things about Christian Eriksen. There's some news about Eriksen today. We've also got some news on Anthony as well, and also Frankie de Jong as always. We've got a couple of bits of news on current players as well to discuss. So as always, please get involved in the comments. Please like if you enjoy, and please subscribe if you are new. So let's get into it then. So we had a report come out sort of late evening last night. So we're going to have a look at Christian Eriksen. We're going to have a look through this report now. Some very, very interesting news coming out about Eriksen. So we're going to go through this now. So I will share my screen and we will have a look through the Eriksen news. So as you can see on the screen now, Christian Eriksen has rejected a move. This is from Jamie Jackson. So Christian Eriksen has rejected a move to Manchester United. The player favours staying at Brentford or moving back to Tottenham. Now, we had this report come out last night from Jamie Jackson about Eriksen. However, as I said the other day when we did a stream, you've got to be careful with the credibility of some of these reports. As we talked about on the stream, I think it was on Saturday night, you've got to be very careful what you believe and who you believe, really. So, yes, this was a report that came out about Eriksen. However, we had this report that came out about Eriksen, that he's rejected a move. And then we've got this from Hersclass or Gary Jacob, sort of late in the middle of the night. This was posted on United Journal. Christian Eriksen is mulling over an offer from Man United after Tottenham distancing themselves from the claims that they are set to re-sign the Denmark midfielder. Brentford are in the dark over the Danes' plans. So there's obviously conflicting reports going around. So regarding Christian Eriksen, I think the best thing to do really is just to see what happens. Honestly, I think that's the best sort of way to go about things. With Christian Eriksen, there's conflicting reports about. There's some, obviously, as I said, Jamie Jackson saying that he's rejected a move. There's another report saying that that Spurs don't want to sign him, and he's thinking about going to Man United. So I think the best thing to do with this news is just to wait and see. As I said before, you've got to be careful who you believe and what you believe. Whenever a story comes out, it's important just to have a look over the story, see who's reported it, are they reliable, these sort of things. I think it's important, really, just to see exactly who's reported it, see if it's actually accurate. So regarding Eriksen, I personally think that he won't go to Spurs. I don't think that the system that Spurs play under Conte, I don't think that particularly suits Christian Eriksen personally. If you actually think about the way that Spurs play with a 3-4-3, the two central midfield players in a 3-4-3, your two central midfield players are very rarely attacking midfield players. They're more sort of central midfield players, defensive midfield players. If you look at the way that, for example, Chelsea have played under Tuchel, those central midfield players in the 3-4-3 tend to be sort of, if you look at Kante, Jorginho, Kovacic, they're central midfield players. So they can do attack, they can do defensive side of things, they can do the attacking side of things, but they are not attacking midfield players. So Eriksen wouldn't start for Spurs in one of those positions. He also probably wouldn't start ahead of Kulusevski or Son in the wide areas. So for me, he doesn't suit Conte's system. I know he played with Conte at Inter, but I don't think he started that many games. I don't think he played all that often there. So in terms of Eriksen, for me, I can't see him going to Spurs. So I think it's either, unless there's a new club that comes in for him, I think he either stays at Brentford or comes to us. So yeah, regarding the Eriksen news, let's just wait and see. I think that's the best sort of the best thing we can do at the moment. Wait and see on Eriksson. I'm not too sure about the sort of the reliability of this Jamie Jackson report. And then other news, really, the Anthony news. So we've had a report come out from Neil Custis' son about Anthony. So I'll share this with you now about Anthony. Again, not the most reliable, you would say, report. So it's not one of the most reliable journalists, I wouldn't say, reporting this. But Neil Custis, the son, Manchester United are closing in on their first major signing of the summer, with Anthony on his way from Ajax in a £40 million move. You also said that Man United officials are due in Amsterdam today to get the deal for the Brazilian over the line. So let's see on Anthony. As I said, it's not the most reliable sort of source at the Sun. But personally, I think Anthony, I said this the other day, I understand people have got a few doubts with Anthony in terms of, the balance with Sancho. I think a lot of people think that they're quite similar in terms of they're not players more explosive. I think Sancho did show that in the Bundesliga. I think he could do it, but they are not players. I think Marcus Rashford is more of a player with those runs in behind. I think Anthony and Sancho are more come to the ball players. They want the ball to feet and then to take players on, be part of the build-up play rather than running in behind all that often for a long ball. So there are some similarities between the two. But I still think Anthony would be a decent signing. Obviously, worked with Ten Hag before. But we've got this report from the Sun. As I said, it's not the most reliable source. So let's see what happens on Anthony. I think quite a few people, as I said, are a little bit unsure. But I think Erik Ten Hag, this is his, apparently Manchester United, we had another report come out that Manchester United are sort of revamping the scouting department, the way they sign players. Apparently Manchester United are going to let Erik Ten Hag, they're going to go for his targets rather than the ones recommended by the scouting department. So it looks like, from the reports we've seen, it does look like the club want to go with what Ten Hag wants. So if Ten Hag wants Anthony, then the club should, of course, back that. So that's the latest on Anthony. We've also got the De Jong news as well. So obviously Frankie De Jong, as always, sort of the headlines around him at the moment. So let's just take a quick look at this bit. So yeah, again, we've got stuff about Frankie De Jong in terms of Manchester United being around 15 to 20 million probably away from Barcelona's valuation. Manchester United have offered 60 million euros plus 10 million in add-ons, so they've offered 70 million. Barcelona want closer to 100. So let's see really what happens with De Jong. As I said, I think he'd be a very good signing, and I think this could be something that might be done before the end of June. Let's hope so. I think in terms of De Jong, I think, as I've said quite a few times, I just hope we sign another midfielder as well as him, and Eriksen is not included in that. Another midfielder that can play with De Jong in the pivot. I think that's very, very important. So hopefully De Jong gets partnered with a new midfield player. And, if Anthony comes in, we get Eriksen as well. I think we need a centre-back, whether we've seen links to Lisandro Martinez. We'll discuss that in a moment. And also maybe a full-back. We've seen links to Dave. We've seen links to Raum from the Bundesliga. We've also seen links to Malacia from Feyenoord. So there are a lot of links out there. There's quite a few links out there. It looks like Ten Hag wants to sign at least 5 players. And one of those should hopefully be De Jong, the first signing, really. So what I thought we could do is we could go through maybe some sort of possible lineup for Erik Ten Hag. So I'm going to get this up now, and we'll sort of go through maybe a possible lineup for Erik Ten Hag. As I said, it's a little bit difficult at the moment to predict who's going to sign. We've seen a lot of reports to various different players. So let's have a look. When this loads up, we'll have a look at a possible lineup. And I'm also thinking of doing some shows on YouTube over the summer shows, for example, like sort of what is the future of David De Gea and Erik ten Hag? What is the future of Luke Shaw and Erik ten Hag? These sort of videos, just trying to sort of guess or sort of hypothesize what a player might do under Erik ten Hag, what they need to do to improve, where they could fit into the system. So if you guys think that would be a good idea, if you like the idea of that, please do let me know. So let's have a look then. What we're going to do is we're going to have a look at what we think the lineup's going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen again here, and we will have a look through this. So this is a football lineup creator, so we're just going to have a look through, see what we think the team might be. As I said, guys, please get involved in the comments. Please like if you enjoy the video. Please subscribe if you are new. I'm doing this video during the day. I know it seems to be easier to do this sort of thing in the evening when people have finished work, etc. But I am busy this evening, so I'm having to do this live stream during the day today. So we start with the goalkeeper. I think 99.9% sure it's going to be David De Gea for the new season. Obviously, Tom Heaton, not really going to be Manchester United's number one. Dean Henderson is on his way to Forest on loan, so it looks like David De Gea will be the number one keeper. So I think that's sort of you can't really dispute that one. It's a bit sort of indisputable. The goalkeeper for next season. We'll start at left back. I think this is another one that if we don't sign a left back, I think it's pretty certain it will be Luke Shaw. I know a lot of people have criticised Luke Shaw, and rightly so, in terms of consistency, in terms of his performances throughout the years. He hasn't been consistent, but he is our best left back in terms of the quality for Ten Hag, in terms of the role he plays. He's very, very progressive. As we've seen, his progressive carries through. We've seen to the attacking third. He's been very, very good at that. He's also quite progressive in terms of his passing as well. So if you look at the role that, for example, Daley Blind, if he plays at left back, the role that he can play either as a progressive passer in maybe a back three with the right back playing more advanced during build-up, or if the right back is part of the back three with the two centre-backs during build-up, the left back can advance towards the top end of the pitch and sort of carry the ball forward, be more of an outlet in the attacking third. So I think Luke Shaw could do both of those roles, really. So I think Luke Shaw for me is pretty certain. Unless we do sign a left back, I think Luke Shaw will start under Erik ten Hag. This is where it gets a little bit difficult now. Centre back, I'm going to just put in here. I'm going to put new signing in there, left centre back, and then at right centre back, I'm going to put Varane. In there. So obviously, we've got Maguire, we've got Lindelof, Bailly, Tonzedi will probably go, Jones will probably go. Rafael Varane obviously hasn't had the best season. He's been injured for a lot of it. I think Real Madrid, we should have maybe been thinking maybe alarm bell should have been ringing when Real Madrid sold Varane to us for that cheap of a fee, really. They obviously thought he wasn't the player he used to be. They obviously thought, injuries were a big issue. And they have been. They really, really have been a big issue. So Varane, I think he's done okay when he's played. He's had a few rusty moments. He did rank second in terms of, I think, his percentage of overall duels won in the league as a centre-back. I think Van Dijk was first and he was second. So he still had a decent season in terms of his defensive sort of attributes, in terms of his defensive stats. But still, I think Varane, he was just injured far too often. So if you are joining, guys, I'm making a possible team for next season. Let me just zoom in slightly so you guys can see it a bit more clearly. So that should be a little bit more clear now. So this is a possible team for Erik ten Hag next season. If you are joining new, we've talked a little bit about transfers, and we're going to talk about transfers again in a minute when we go through the team. But please do comment what you think about. We're going to go through the team now. What you think about the team, which players you think should be in it. We've discussed David De Gea already. Obviously, Dean Henderson very likely to leave. So David De Gea is more or less certain to be the goalkeeper next season. Luke Shaw, I think if we don't sign a left back, Luke Shaw is very, very likely to be our left back. I expect a centre-back signing in there. So we put new signing. We're going to discuss that in a minute. And then I'll put Rafael Varane in. I've just said that Varane has obviously been injured for a lot of the season. He had a decent season when he did play. He was rusty in a few moments, but he was overall okay, I think, for the whole season, Varane. But he was just injured far too often. But we're just going to go through a possible team for next season. So please do smash a like, guys, if you're watching right now. Please do subscribe if you're new. Please do get involved in the comments as well. If you've got any suggestions, any comments about the players we've gone through so far. So in terms of the right back area, again, this is a real sort of tough position because I do believe that Aaron Wan-Bissaka does not suit Erik ten Hag. I think Dalot does, but is he good enough in terms of will he develop into the player ten Hag wants? I'm not so sure, but I do think Dalot is the best right back we do have at this moment in time. So I will put Dalot in there. I think he's a very, very progressive player, ranks pretty highly for progressive passes, progressive carries, etc. But I think his attacking output's been really, really disappointing this season. I think everybody who's watching right now will probably agree. His crossing has actually been quite poor. Although we thought he was going to be, he was meant to be quite a good crosser. He was almost like a winger, really, Diogo Dalot. You could say he has got attributes to be a winger, but he's been really, really poor with his crossing this season. So let's see if that improves. As I said, we're going to discuss some new signings in a moment, but I'm just going to go through sort of the majority of the team now. In the sort of two pivot positions, I am going to put two new signings in there. I think everybody would agree we do need two midfield players. So I'm going to put two new signings in there. We'll discuss in a minute who could play in those positions. And please do get involved in the comments if you've got any suggestions. On the left, I'm going to go with Jadon Sancho. I think Sancho this season, again, another player that hasn't really produced. It was his first season. He was coming into a time. He's played under 3 different managers this season. He hasn't really exploded. Really, I think everybody would agree with that. He hasn't really exploded, Jadon Sancho. But for me, I think he is still a top player, and I think he will be a top player in the future. I think he will develop into a key player for Ten Hag, whether it be on that left or right-hand side. So let's see with that. Number 10. Number 10 is a really difficult one, actually. We've obviously got Bruno Fernandes. We've got Donny van de Beek. We've got possibly Christian Eriksen coming in. Really tough one in terms of who I actually pick here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put really Bruno or Donny just for now, just until we sort of see what happens with the Eriksen situation, because I think that will change one or two things around the number 10 position. But Bruno Fernandes, obviously, if we start with him first, how we did last season, I don't think Bruno Fernandes really played very well at all for the majority of the games, like a lot of our players. I think even when Bruno Fernandes was scoring those goals, getting lots of goals and assists before, I think a lot of people question his overall game. I think he will have to improve his discipline if he wants to play under Ten Hag, for sure. But as I said, I hope we do see a better player. He's not my favourite player to watch, Bruno Fernandes. I do get quite frustrated watching him, to be honest with you. I do think he gives the ball away far too often, and I know people say he creates things. He does, but if you keep trying those things so much, you will eventually create something. So I do think he will need to look after the ball better under Ten Hag, and if he doesn't do that, then Ten Hag will rightly, hopefully, drop him. There's got to be consequences if you don't play well. And then Donny van de Beek. I think Donny van de Beek is a quality player. I think he's a number 10. He hasn't really played as a number 10 for Manchester United all that often. That's probably why we haven't seen the best of Donny van de Beek. Went to Everton, didn't have a good loan spell at Everton at all. So I'm hoping that Donny van de Beek can be rejuvenated. I think his third man runs could be vital. So, for example, if a player, let's say Sancho's got the ball, and he's you've got, for example, you've got Cristiano Ronaldo. Obviously, we'll obviously put him here now. So let me put Ronaldo in. And what Donny van de Beek will give you is if Sancho or one of the midfield players, if they want to play a ball into Ronaldo or into Sancho or into a wide player, Donny van de Beek gives these third man runs. So what that sort of means is Donny van de Beek with a third man run, he's not necessarily looking to get the ball. He's just looking to sort of break up the opposition's shape. So if that makes sense. So Donny van de Beek might run into this zone or might run into that zone or to this zone, to that zone, just to draw one of the players out of this position. So I think that's something that Donny van de Beek does very, very well in terms of his third man runs. So third man run, you've got the player with the ball, you've got the possible receiver of the ball, the third man, the man that's not probably going to receive the pass, making a run, sort of breaking the opposition's shape, sort of moving the opposition's shape around. I think that's what Donny van de Beek's really, really good at. So we might see that with Donny van de Beek quite a lot, I would expect. Okay, the right wing position. I do believe that we could sign a player in that position, so I'm going to put new signing. And then I think we're going to have Ronaldo up front. So I think that's sort of what we could expect. I think we could expect sort of 4 first-team signings for next season. It could be 5 or 6. I do think we should sign 6 players, but I don't know whether all 6 will go straight into the team. We'll see. Obviously, we also need some depth as well, and obviously Ten Hag might not want to play all the 6 new signings together on the first game, etc., because he wants to keep some of the team that have played together before, for the cohesion. Although there isn't much cohesion, I know at the moment. I do think these players can show more cohesion than they have in the past, if that makes sense. So let's see with that. But yes, let's just have a think now about some of the new signings then. So for me, I'm just going to do this sort of realistic what might happen. So I'm going to put Lisandro Martinez in here. We'll talk about him in a minute. I'm going to put Jong in here. I'm just going to put him next to. This is a real tough one because we've seen obviously links to Vitinha. We've obviously seen links to Neves in the past. Again, my issue is I think that I do worry that we will not get this sort of other midfielder for De Jong. I do think that we could struggle to get it in, sort of get a signing in. I do worry for it. But I'm going to put Ruben Neves there. I think Ruben Neves is a top player. I think they'd work well as a pair. And then I'm going to put Anthony here because it seems the most realistic. So this is something that I think Manchester United should be aiming for next season. You could also put a new left back in there if you like. You could also have a situation like this as well with Lindelof as an inverted fullback. So you might see something more of this ilk. So let me just have it here. So you might see something more of this ilk during build-up. You might see something more like this. You also might see this as well under Erik ten Hag. So let me just do this. So something that can happen is the 2-3-5. So you've got your 2 centre halves in possession. You've got your 2 fullbacks with your deepest midfield player, and then you've got sort of a front 5 here. So this is something you might see. If anyone's tuning in now and they're thinking, what formation am I playing? This is something that Ten Hag does do quite often with the 2-3-5. So when in possession, this is something he does do quite often with the 2 centre-backs, sort of the deepest players, the 2 full-backs surrounding the Ruben Neves, who could be the deepest midfield player, and then the 2 number 8s with the 2 wide players and the striker sort of in the front line. So this is something that Ten Hag can do quite often. So that's why I just wanted to show you that there. So if you bring all these players back, so again, this is a possible team under Ten Hag. As I say, if it was my choice, I would sign 6 players personally. I would try and get as many signings in as possible, just to try and get rid of, we've got rid of quite a lot of players. We need to sort of make a lot of changes in a lot of departments. I think the 2 midfield areas are the most important. And then I think the centre-back area, and then I think the wide area, and then I think also a full-back. If I was to sign a full-back, I would look for a player like Malacia, or we've got Bornesota as well. But my first choice would be Tyrell Malacia in that left-back area. So that's who I would be looking at. And personally, I think he costs about 20 million. I think he'd be quite cheap, actually. So this is just a possible team under Ten Hag. It's not. I'm not saying this is particularly the team that will play. Obviously, all we can do is hypothesize. But this is just a possible lineup that Ten Hag might look at. As I said, there's some players in there that won't be here in our second year. I think David De Gea will probably go. I think Diogo Dalot, we probably need a new right back in that position. There's even question marks around Varane. Will he still be here with his injury record, etc.? So this is just a possible team. If you are tuning in right now, please do like the video. Please do subscribe if you're new. Please do get in the comments as well. This is just a possible Ten Hag lineup for next season. Could very well be the case. I don't think Neves is as realistic as it was before because of the price tag. But I would like to see sort of De Jong and Neves. I think they'd be quite a good partnership, personally. So yeah, let's see what happens under Ten Hag. I think if Neves doesn't sign, you may well see Fred. And I know people watching are going to go, "Oh my goodness!" You may well see Fred and De Jong as a partnership. So that's something you may well see. I think Fred and De Jong are probably the best pivot we've got if we do sign De Jong. I don't think McTominay is. Again, I really not too sure about McTominay. I'm really not keen on him, really. Matic is obviously gone. Pogba's gone. Donny, not best in the pivot for me. So I think Fred and De Jong will probably be the best we've got. If we look at what we think Ten Hag would play with what we've got now, I think he'd play this. I know people are not going to be happy with Maguire, but I think he would play Maguire over Lindelof. And he would play Bruno or Donny. He'd probably have to play Sancho there and Rashford there. But that's what Ten Hag will probably play now. If with the current players we've got, if I take De Jong out, God forbid, he would have to play McTominay and Fred in that midfield. But that's probably what Ten Hag would have to play if he couldn't make any signings. He'd probably have to play that team. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh my God, that's what he would have to play." Obviously, we want to sort of get rid of Fred and McTominay as much as we can. We'd obviously want De Jong in there. We'd obviously want sort of a wide player, a centre back, a full back if we can. So that's just an idea anyway. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. As I said, I've had to do a video during the day today because I am busy this evening. I do realise that there's not a lot of engagement at the moment. Obviously, most people are at work doing busy things, so I understand that. So in the future, I will take this on board and try and upload more in the evenings. But as I said, obviously you can't always upload you've got to upload when you can, when you've got time, really. So that's the case with me today. So yeah, that's all really for today, guys. As always, please do subscribe if you are new. I'll be back again soon with some more video, some more videos, some more content. Just a couple of updates today, just to summarize it. Eriksen, Jamie Jackson has said that, journalist has said that Christian Eriksen has snubbed Man United. There are conflicting reports saying that he hasn't and he's still deciding. So keep an eye out on Eriksen. In terms of Anthony, Neil Custis at The Sun said that Manchester United are in talks. They're very close to signing Anthony. I'm not too sure about that. I don't think it's the most reliable. And also, we've got De Jong. A new bid will come in soon, we expect, from Manchester United. An improved bid, looking at around 80 million euros in total, probably. So that's sort of the news for today, guys. Eriksen to Manchester United. I don't think it's fully off. We've had one journalist say it is, but I don't think it is. I think that could still be alive. We've got Anthony apparently close to signing for Manchester United, but it's not really a reliable source. And De Jong, a new bid, will probably come in soon for I was going to say Luke de Jong, not Luke de Jong, with Frankie de Jong, for Frankie de Jong. So thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'll be back soon with some more evening uploads, as I understand that this is sort of when people sort of are more active and stuff like that. But thank you, Annie, for watching. If you are watching this sort of on repeat, thank you for joining in as well. I'm trying to make these videos between half an hour and an hour long, really. Thanks for joining in if you joined in late, if you're watching this at another time. And I'll speak to all you guys soon. Cheers. Thank you for the support, guys.